What is up, and I welcome each and every one of you back to a brand new Civ 6 or Civilization 6 discussion video. Today we're going to be taking a look at difficulty levels in Civ 6. Now, this isn't just me going to read all the difficulty levels and what they give you. No, I'm the Civ Life, right? I'm going to give you more than that. You know that already. We're going to talk about how to jump from each difficulty to the next difficulty, what you need and what you need to focus on in order to win on the higher difficulties. Like if you're jumping from King to Emperor, I'll tell you what you need to work on specifically. Yeah, we're going to be describing what exactly makes these difficulties either easy or hard. And we're talking about the AI and how it works and how it improves or doesn't. And that's pretty much all I have to say. It's not anything too hard. Let's get started. Let me make sure I have the intro down pat. 48 seconds. I'll probably have that as a timestamp, maybe. Who knows? It depends on how lazy I am. But before we get started, just a quick little disclaimer about difficulties. The AI, no matter if it's settler or deity difficulty, is missing a few chromosomes. It has maybe half a brain cell worth of information working at one time. This isn't like chess. Like chess, there are specific moves for specific pieces, and you can literally map out every single possible scenario that can happen. Even though it's a lot of scenarios, chess AI, you could spend the time to just map out all the scenarios if you really wanted to, which has happened. For Civ 6, you can't do that because every situation is different. No two maps are the same. Every map has a specific game seed. The AI isn't going to know exactly what to build most of the time. Like, they know if I have a lot of combat strength and I'm coming in, they'll go more defensive. They might, I don't know, just settler spam. They don't end up settling near rivers. The AI really isn't that good in this game at all, and it doesn't really change. The way they make it harder is by giving AI specific bonuses. So settler, they get no bonuses towards yields. Deity, they get a 32% bonus towards science, culture, and faith, and they get an 80% bonus towards production and gold on deity, which is absolutely massive. So it's pretty much, the AI is pretty much cheating. It's pretty much enabling cheats in Skyrim and giving yourself like dragon bone armor, enchanted, all the level 500 spells, putting you at level 200. That's pretty much how difficulty works. But it isn't too hard to beat once you know exactly how the AI works and how you can beat it. But without further ado, let's start with number one. I'm going to group this into three: settler, chieftain, and warlord. The reason I'm grouping them into three is because if you're new, you really should be able to beat prince difficulty fairly easily. I've never in my life, not in Civ 5 or Civ 6, played on anything below prince difficulty. I used to play on prince difficulty in Civ 5, and then king, and then emperor. In Civ 6, I started on emperor, I think. I am flexing a little bit, that's true, but yeah, settler, chieftain, and warlord are pretty much the same in the fact that you get bonuses. The AI gets no bonuses until king difficulty, as you can see. But these three difficulties are pretty much Prince. There's no bonuses at all or anything. These three difficulties, you get a combat strength bonus. The AI gets a negative bonus when attacking you. You get player extra experience, which is massive. And again, the AI starts with the exact same units until King difficulty. And Barbarian Camp Gold, this is the hardest one. This hurts my soul. You get 5 less gold per level. Now, I know it might be difficult if you're playing on Settler and really want to make the jump to Chieftain. I understand that 5 less gold per encampment might cripple you and might discourage you from attempting to go further, but trust me, put in the hours, put in the work, and you should be able to jump this hurdle of -5 gold for difficulty. I promise you, we'll do this together. Yeah, it's pretty much it though. In all honesty, it's not that hard. You get some bonuses. You really don't need the bonuses due to how the AI is bad at this game, but you still get the bonuses anyway. Combat strength, experience pretty much, and extra gold from the barbarian encampments compared to the other difficulties. The biggest tip I would give you is to subscribe to the Civ Lifer on YouTube. Down below, hit that red button, turn on notifications, and follow twitch.tv/thecivlifer1 on Twitch. I'm going to be making a stream schedule soon, but I'm not even joking, by the way. Like, you watch me play, especially on stream where I'm like planning out every move, you should be able to at least beat Emperor and should be able to get to Deity, at least beat a Deity game every once in a while with a good start. But for really in Warlord, Settler, Chieftain, all you really need to do is play the game, build campuses if you're going for a science victory, theater squares for a culture victory, faith for a faith victory, and if you're going for a domination victory, just build horsemen. I wouldn't recommend going swordsmen for 2 reasons. Number 1, horsemen are faster, and number 2, the AI is not going to build walls on these difficulties probably at all. Even city-states don't build walls until Immortal and Deity. You can see here. In Gathering Storm, city-states will begin with ancient walls on Immortal and Deity, so pretty much there is no reason to build swordsmen. They're literally just slower horsemen, and it's a lot more expensive to get their technologies, and it's a lot harder to boost their technologies. Go ahead, get horseback riding, build 1 or 2 horsemen. Go ahead, take out 3 to 4. You could probably end off the enemy with the experience bonus on domination victory, and probably win a domination victory by the ancient era. I'm not even joking. Like, you could probably win within like 50 to 100 turns if you really tried. But yeah, pretty much it's simple. If you're going for faith, holy sites, culture, theater, squares, science campuses, don't even have to get good adjacency, quite honestly. Just beeline the next tech that has your building and just build the buildings. Like, this is super duper easy for these difficulties. But if you do all that, you should be able to easily beat Prince. Like, literally have half a brain cell working at any one time, and you should be able to beat Warlord pretty easily. Next up, we're looking at Prince difficulty. Prince difficulty is literally it's zero. It's zero. You don't get any bonuses. The AI gets no bonuses. 30 gold. It's pretty much just the set 0 difficulty, even playing field. Aside from the fact you have a human brain, the AI has AI brain. So again, you get 30 gold instead of 35. That's quite literally, not even joking, that's really the biggest change from Warlord to Prince. I guess the 2 combat strength and 15 experiences, but you're not really going to be noticing that as much. Again, Prince difficulty and Settler difficulty, the AI will be at the exact same stage as they would be on Prince or Settler. All 4 of these difficulties, guarantee you, if it takes the AI to get to turn 100 to get the medieval era, Prince difficulty, they'll get to the medieval era at turn 100. The AI gets no bonuses whatsoever, so it should be extremely easy because the AI, again, they'll go for sailing when they're landlocked on a Pangea map. They'll go for celestial navigation when they're in the same. They'll go for musketmen instead of naval boats on archipelago maps. They'll go for irrigation, even though they have no irrigatable resources or even rice to chop for that matter. The AI is super duper dumb, and because of that, like I said, on Prince difficulty, just make sure you're getting decent adjacencies on science, culture, faith, buildings, whatever they're called. Oh, I accidentally clicked on that. Oh no, I'm gonna have to show my browser history. Oh crap, holy crap, you guys are getting an eyeful. Oh, no, I'm probably going to be banned on YouTube for that, but still, let's move back here. Prince difficulty, in order for you to move up to King difficulty, I would recommend, it's pretty much the same as Settler, Chieftain, and Warlord. Just build science if you're going science, but I would recommend one thing. Make sure you can win a domination victory before going to King, because King, Emperor, Immortal, and Deity difficulty, it is very imperative for you to get good at domination, because by the time you get to the higher difficulties, you need to be good at domination to beat those difficulties. Pretty much, if you guys look at my last stream that happened, I think you could literally look at it on my YouTube channel. I was playing TSL America on Deity, and I literally was landlocked immediately, and I had to go to war early on, and I had to deal with advanced units. Like, you have to be good at war to win on Emperor, I would say, and Immortal. That's what I would recommend, but pretty much if you're just looking to beat Prince difficulty, all you need is to just do what you did for the first 3 difficulties: science, campuses, culture, theater, squares, and wonders, faith, holy sites. You should be fine. Horseman rush as well. Maybe go for swordsman this time, because they might build walls by like turn 100 if you're really slow. But again, Prince difficulty shouldn't be that difficult. Next up, we move on to King difficulty. This is where the AI starts getting some bonuses. They have a +1 combat strength against you. You're not going to feel it. Not going to feel it at all. 1 combat strength doesn't do anything. It's not going to change the game. It's not going to make anything. Like, if you fortify on a hill, you're going to have more combat strength bonuses than the AI. So it's really negligible. The AI gets a 20% production towards production and gold, which is pretty big, honestly. So instead of taking 5 turns to build a swordsman, they'll take like 4 turns. Again, it's a lot bigger than it seems. It adds up for sure, but like I said, the AI isn't going to be smart enough to make use of these bonuses. Science, culture, and faith, an 8% boost. That's really nothing, honestly. 8%. So if you have 100 science, it's going to be 108. Again, that's really nothing you can't overcome, especially considering that the AI is just going to build districts all over the place. It's not going to be that good. Next up, they get 10% extra experience. Again, 10% is literally nothing. They get 1 free civic and tech boost. You probably get 1 free civic and tech boost at the beginning of the game. Like, literally settling near a coastline gives you a tech boost. So nothing too big. The one thing they have is they get a free warrior. Like, instead of starting with 1, they start with an extra warrior, and they get a builder. after they complete their first district. So after they complete one district, they're going to get a free builder after that. King is really where it starts getting a little bit more difficult. Again, it isn't anything, it's not anything you can't overcome. Really, as long as you know the basics of the game, you should easily be able to win King difficulty. The extra warrior is really just not even worth mentioning. Neither is the extra builder. They don't get any free settlers. They get one free civic and tech boost, which isn't even worth mentioning. A lot of their the only bonuses that are worth mentioning are the production bonus and probably the science and faith and culture bonus. In order for you to beat King difficulty, you do have to be a little bit better with your placements on campuses, theater squares, and faith, holy sites. So definitely read through adjacencies. It might be a little daunting at first, but it isn't really that hard once you get the hang of it. For faith, you got to be beside woods or mountains. For science, it's rainforests or mountains. Culture's difficult. It's wonders and world wonders you build, and entertainment complexes to get adjacency for theater squares. Again, King, not really that hard. So yeah, King difficulty, just make sure you get good district placement. I would recommend going for swordsman rushes more than horseman rushes at this point, only because it's so you could get acquainted to the higher difficulties and the AI building walls extremely early on. Get a battering ram, get some swordsmen for domination. Good district placement, and King should be fine. After that, we got Emperor difficulty. Now, Emperor difficulty is when it starts getting very hard. This is where it starts getting difficult. The jump between King and Emperor difficulty is probably the biggest we've seen so far. Now, Emperor difficulty, they get 16% bonus towards the yields, which isn't too bad still. It's pretty good actually, but not anything too crazy. They're going to be wasting it on like researching astrology despite not wanting to found a religion. So 16% bonus is still being wasted. 40% production and gold is not that bad either. The 2 combat strength is, you'll feel it a little bit, but as long as you can, defend on hills, defend on forests, attack in open terrain, use your ranged units to attack to soften up the enemy, you should be fine. AI combat experience, 20%, doesn't matter. Kill the enemy units before they kill you. They get 2 free civic and tech boosts. This is like 4. This is where it starts getting, okay, they're getting a little bit more boosts. They get 2 settlers instead of 1. That's the biggest one. They get 2 cities instead of 1 cities, which means they're going to be getting the production and gold bonus. It's going to be worth twice as much because they're going to have 2 cities, and they're going to be getting twice as much of this science, culture, and faith. Because of that, they're going to be able to build twice as many units as usual. They start with 3 warriors, and they get a free builder at the beginning, no questions asked. Emperor difficulty is when you should probably avoid building too many wonders. You can't get every wonder on these difficulties anymore. You have to play a little bit more optimally now. This is probably the last difficulty where you can still play however you want. This is the best roleplay difficulty, I guess, because it's still not that hard if we're being completely honest. Like I said, as long as your science, culture, and faith, you start planning using map tax and you get the better map tax mod, it's fine as long as your combat isn't that bad, which you should have been working on from pretty much Prince difficulty. If you can just build a few ranged units, attack, defend your ranged units, defend with your units, build battering rams, use your swordsman to take out enemy walls. The city-states still don't start on walls, so you can take out a few city-states still. Aside from that, this is probably the best roleplay difficulty if you're trying to go for like something suboptimal like a Viking pillage difficulty. This is probably the best difficulty for that. And as long as you fine, I guess, with the game, you should be able to beat this difficulty no problem. Now, this is, in my opinion, I'm going to say this is the hardest jump to do from Emperor to Immortal difficulty. Winning on Immortal difficulty is probably the hardest you're going to get. The AI starting with 3 versus 2 settlers isn't as bad as you would think, but it's not as bad as you would think. An extra city, it's not going to be as big because the AI is going to take a while to end up settling their 2nd city and then their 3rd city, and the 3rd city is probably not going to be in as good of a location. The starting warriors, 5 instead of 4, 4 instead of 3 is, in my opinion, a lot worse early on. 4 is where it starts getting like a lot of units. 2 builders is like you're going to have really strong cities. You're going to be able to chop out stuff immediately because they do get 6 total boosts now, which is massive. Combat strength, they get 3 combat strength against you. You're going to start feeling that. 20% more production compared to Emperor and 8% more compared to Emperor as well. The reason I say the hardest jump is from Emperor to Immortal is because if you're able to beat Immortal, you should be able to beat Deity. Like both of them are pretty much the same, and I guess we could talk with both of them about the same time. You have to play optimally, right? You can't go for as many wonders as you could. The only wonders you could probably get are the ones that need specific things, like pyramids require a desert tile, Oracle requires a hill tile, even though the AI starts to build the Oracle a lot more. Entertainment complex, the Colosseum requires an entertainment complex with an arena, and the Colosseum has to be built on a flat land adjacent to that. So again, you can get more of these specific wonders, but wonders like Etamananki, which is just a floodplains, or Hanging Gardens, they're going to be a little bit harder to get than usual. Great Bath is literally impossible. Don't even attempt to get the Great Bath. The Great Bath, it's not even worth your time. Don't try to go for that. Yeah, the way you're going to beat this is plan out your districts meticulously, get like aqueducts, industrial zones, dams. Again, I highly recommend the Better Map Tax mod. It shows you exactly what yields the districts are going to provide after you finish completing the districts. Like if I put an aqueduct beside an industrial zone, it'll show +2 production, like in my videos. And this is where I recommend, especially if you're new, do the map tax, plan out good cities, plan out cities you're planning on settling. Always try to settle on plains, hills if you can. Always settle near fresh water, unless it's a really good city and you can get an aqueduct fairly quickly. Chop everything. Honestly, it's almost always worth it to chop compared to just like building a farm on the rice tile. Aside from that, really, it's just domination's probably the hardest difficulty to win on. In order for you to do that, you're going to have to beeline swordsmen, battering rams, make sure you boost everything. Boost, kill 3 barbarians, build an iron mine, and build a, I think it's masonry requires you to build mine, I'm assuming. I think it's a mine. It might be, I think it's a mine, actually. It is a mine. Boost everything you can early on in the game, because boosts, like, getting 40% of the science boosts just like that immediately is going to save you at the very least 20 to 30 turns of research. Get the swordsman, upgrade into the swordsman, and then pretty much just be smart, you know, get some archers, defend, blitz the enemy cities. I recommend just blitzing enemy cities. The enemy AI in all likelihood is just going to, again, go for astrology, go for sailing. So if you beeline ironworking, you should have the military advantage. Take out an enemy civ. This is where I highly recommend war, because if you're not able to take out an enemy civ, in all likelihood, you're not going to have enough cities to win the game. As a good measuring point, if you can get 10 decent cities, you should be able to win on Immortal and Deity at the very least 70% of the time. If you get 15 cities, it's game over. If you get like 7 cities, it's still winnable if you're good enough at the game and they're good enough cities, but under 7 cities, 8 cities, probably unwinnable on these higher difficulties. Maybe on Immortal, but not on Deity. Again, if you do that, you should be able to win on these difficulties. And again, watch my streams. Not only that, if you enjoy watching other YouTubers, Potato McWhiskey, Saxy Gamer, Boistius, I think they all play on Deity, Inquisitive Otter too. I can't really name everybody right now. Probably take an entire video, but just watch other people playing on higher difficulties than you. They have different strategies. There's no one strategy to win the game. I'm more of a domination guy myself, but if you just get good districts, you know, plan out amazing districts, you know, try to get +3, +4 adjacency for everything. Plan out wonders that you know you can get. Some of the wonders that I recommend getting are, if you can, the Hanging Gardens, but that's a little iffy. Pyramids, Colosseum, Kilwa Kanasawa, although that's also a little bit iffy. Forbidden City is kind of iffy sometimes. Ruhr Valley should be automatic every single game, especially for science. Broadway, Bolshoi Theater, and the Hermitage for culture. You should be able to get at least 2 of those 3. The Biosphere for sure. Other than that, go ahead and check out my tier list for Civ 6 Wonders. That should be one of the earlier videos. I'll probably link it in the description, if I'm not lazy, obviously. But go ahead. Those are the wonders you should be getting. When it comes to governments, Immortal and Deity is really where you should be optimizing optimizing your governments. The governments I would recommend are number 1, oligarchy or classical republic. Oligarchy if you're going to go for an early war. Classical republic if there is enough spaces to get 10 cities and you can just start sim citying. After that, you're going to want merchant republic 90% of the time. Monarchy if you're going for a diplomatic victory because walls provide a lot of diplo favor. And theocracy if you're planning on going for a religious victory. But merchant republic for everything else. After that, you're going to want to be going for democracy, fascism, communism. For a science victory, you're going to want communism because it gives you production for cities with governors, and it is going to give you extra research, 10% research base, which is really, really good. Production in science is all you really need. Fascism for domination, obviously, because +4 combat strength for all units is amazing, especially with the oligarchy boosted in. And when it comes to democracy, I would only recommend that if you're going for a diplomatic or culture victory, and you have a lot of allies and you're sending trade routes to allies. That's where it really comes in. And then fourth, you really doesn't matter for these fourth governments, synthetic technocracy, digital democracy. At that point, you should be already have won the game. And when it comes to governors, obviously, you want to go Amani when you can get a suzerain of a city-state, because if you could do that, you'll get a lot of exploration. You'll get the city-state to help you if the AI declares war on you. And yeah, after that, you're going to want to go Pingala and Magnus. Magnus, if you're planning on spamming settlers out, get the provision. If you're planning on going for more war early on, I would recommend Pingala early on, because if you're going for war, you're only going to be building 1 or 2 settlers max, maybe 3. And then Pingala's extra science and culture, especially as tier 2, is a lot more useful in getting the techs you need, like ironworking, bronzeworking, masonry, and archery a lot faster than usual. And the final thing I'd recommend is save up gold on Immortal and Deity. Don't spend your gold, because you're going to need 60 gold to upgrade slingers into archers, 110 gold and 20 iron to upgrade warriors into swordsmen. And if you just take those tips I mentioned, you should be able to beat Immortal and Deity difficulty. If you're still having trouble, we're streaming. We should still be streaming. I'm streaming from 12 to 4 p.m. today on either YouTube and twitch.tv/thecivillifer1. Follow me on whatever, and yeah, like and subscribe. Nothing much else to say. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Without further ado, I will see you all in the next video.